Walking isn't the only way you can improve your circulation. You can actually improve the circulation in your feet while sitting down. We have with us, of course, my co-host, Kevin Thomas Morgan, who wrote a P.A.D training manual, those who have poor circulation in their legs. He has an exercise that helped him actually improve not only his circulation, but also the strength of his feet and his toes. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, it's this I think is the fifth chapter in my book.
Fifth chapter.
And it's called Spread Your Toes and Feet with Yoga Toes. And the objective of the chapter is to teach you how to spread your toes. If you hold your toes tight together, you can see how that would restrict blood flow and tissue flow through your foot. So the more you spread them, and this is during walking, it becomes more complicated later. So getting your feet to spread, and last week we talked about getting them out of shoes that are tight and tube socks, and now you've got to teach them to spread. And this is very much like stretching in the gym or stretching muscles that get tight. And as you get older, they definitely get tight. One of the worst is the psoas muscle, which causes you to have a sore lower back, or the hamstrings. A better term than stretching is actually lengthening. So you're trying to lengthen these muscles. So when you spread your toes, you also lengthen the many muscles in the bottom of your feet. We'll come to that later. So the idea is to spread your toes so you spread the long bones in your feet, the metatarsals. In the book, I have pictures of those kind of things. And this improves blood flow through your feet. And the best thing to use is yoga toes. You can also supplement that with the pool. If you lie on your back and relax on your back in the pool, if you're comfortable swimming, kick your feet up and down in a regular, freestyle kick, you'll find this actually spread your feet. The pressure of the water spreads your feet. So that's another gentle way to spread your feet. And you have to return to this consistently because your feet will start to contract in. And if you have really tight shoes, man, that's a really bad idea. So yoga toes, you can buy all different types. But the important thing to remember is you don't wear them walking around any more than you stretch while you're running or lifting weights. It's a separate job. So you're using the yoga toes to spread your feet. There's a video on this on my YouTube, Fit Old Dog YouTube channel on the P.A.D playlist. It's one of the first videos. I made it years ago for another reason. It's an introductory lesson on yoga toes by Rebecca Amos Lawson. And she was my continuum and dance teacher, a remarkable person. And if you watch that video, she'll show you how to use yoga toes, how to move your feet and understand what they're doing. So she was an excellent teacher. She helped me with my posture. And this is where, if you can afford it, getting some tuition in body movement is really constructive. And there you see her with a set of yoga toes on her foot, and it spreads her toes. At the same time, it spreads the long bones in her feet, her metatarsals, and lying between those long bones are both arteries, veins, and nerves, and also loose connective tissue, which contains fluid that flows through your feet, out of capillaries, and then back into the downstream capillaries, the venules, and back out of your foot. So it encourages both flow of blood and flow of tissue fluid. Any questions on that?
I have a question, Kevin. How long should you use them each session, or?
If you have really tight, first you got to work up to them like anything else.
Yeah.
So if you have really tight feet, you need to maybe just a few minutes, and you might even find it really hard to get them on between the little toe and the one next to that. And then you slowly increase the amount you do, as I increase the amount of stretching. I do up to 1 hour stretch routines when I'm in full training. And so you want to gradually increase it. But I would say, if you see your feet tightening up at all, you need to come back and use them. When I'm working out a lot, I will use them 3 or 4 times a week, maybe for just 10 minutes, that's all. And then I watch my feet, which I can spread fairly well without the yoga toes. If I feel any tightness, especially my little toe and the one next to it, getting kind of squashed together when they're out of my shoes, then I'll use them again to remind my feet to spread. So it's like everything we do here. It's detective work. Everyone's different. And so you have to explore what works for you, but don't overdo it. If you overdo it, you will hurt your feet and that will set you back.
Thank you.
She looks so happy at the end of that video.
I know she does.
Made it
She
about
absolutely
13,
does. It's
13
because she
years ago.
stretched her toes.
It does feel good. I made that video with her years ago. I just did the camera work and the video work. And man, she did a great job. I think it's like 25,000 views of that thing now. Okay. So I mentioned swim kick in the pool. That also helps. So this is to improve blood flow through your feet. And it's important to make it easy for fluid flow into, through, and out of your feet. So you don't want to have a very impact strong walking style. You need low impact, but there's also to be some impact. So you don't want to restrict blood flow into your feet. This process helps blood flow through your feet by spreading your feet. And then later you'll talk about flexing your toes to improve venous return, which helps blood back to the heart and thus reduces downstream resistance to flow coming through your feet. Basically, you need to understand a little bit of physiology and remember, excuse me, it's just plumbing. I mean, most of our problems in life are mainly plumbing, and this is a really clear example of that. So I use these things intermittently right now because I've done it for so long. But yeah, it's part of what you do. So basically, I've mentioned that. Watch those videos. There are many brands of toe spreaders, but I prefer the type shown in Rebecca's video. I do this work for up to 30 minutes at a time on both feet at least 3 times per week if my feet feel tight in response to training. Because if I do a lot of running, my feet will get tired, and tired muscles tend to tighten up. And that's why we do stretching after workouts. At first, especially if your feet are really tight due to years stuffed in tight shoes and socks, it will take a while to make this process easy and comfortable. So you have to settle into it slowly. You may find it particularly difficult to separate your little toes from their neighbors. And from what I've seen when it comes to P.A.D. induced gangrene, it starts usually in the little toe and the toe next to it. Those are the pictures I've seen. I don't know the frequency. I looked at the plumbing. I'm kind of surprised by that fact, but it could well be because of this tendency to tighten those lateral toes. So spreading your toes and thus your feet is essential for improving blood flow through your feet, even when you are walking, as you will see later. So spreading your feet is one component of what I call the remote blood pumping system, where I convert my feet into pumps. And so now I watch my feet, and I definitely don't land on my heel. I come in from the side, and as I land on my feet, which is a very gentle process, I can then contract my foot to drive the blood out of my feet and kind of grip the ground gently. And so I grip the ground gently until I'm ready to lift my foot up, which comes up from the heel. It doesn't come down on the heel. It comes up from the heel as you lift your foot up. And that is when you spread your feet. Without yoga toes, you learn to spread them normally. That lets blood into your feet. And then down you come, you grip the ground again, drive blood out of your feet. And in the process, you are flexing your toes, which contracts muscles in your calves. It squashes veins in your calves that have valves to prevent backflow. And that encourages the blood to flow to the heart. It encourages venous return. So this is all part of you turning your legs into pumps and your feet into pumps, learning how to move with your whole body. And to do that, you have to listen to your body. Don't put those damn things in your ears. Listen to what you're doing, and then just learn how to convert them into pumps. And now I'm busy training for my next race once I'm completely over this heart surgery, and that'll be next May. Yeah, so I'm even considering that, even though I've had PAD since 2014. And my, excuse me, my right popliteal artery is 100% blocked. My left one is going that way. So due to hypertriglyceridemia. Okay, that's chapter 5. It's pretty simple, really, once you get into the habit. And a lot of fighting PAD is developing good habits. There's a great book called by Stephen Pressfield called Turning Pro, where he says if you want to be a professional, and PAD is a professional disease, it turns up every day, all day, then you need to think like a professional when you attempt to outwit PAD. And so you have to be consistent and develop professional habits, and I agree with that. But you also have to make it fun. You have to, it's not, it doesn't, if it's like you do it like work, I mean, what a pain in the butt. And there's enough pain going on here. You do have to deal with pain. Pain is your friend in many ways with PAD. So that's chapter 5. With my,
I can see Carl started laughing at that last part, just because you know what, PAD sucks. I mean, there's pain. I mean, no matter what. We see Kevin and people post in the group all, you know, a lot when they see Kevin, oh, well, Kevin, you're different, you know, you're a marathon runner. And so, you know, you can't relate to us. And it's like, no, he experiences pain every single day. And he would actually be in your same position if he did not take the steps every day and as many steps as he is doing to try and persevere with it. Right, Kevin? You work at it.
I'm doing on average about 3 to 6 miles a day walking the dogs, walking on my own. I also go to the gym where I'm using an elliptical trainer for general training, especially upper body. Started doing weight training again, even though I'm in the Zipper Club with Doug. And also there's an excellent exercycle that fits me well because I have to be ready to start biking when I get back to North Carolina. And then I work out on the treadmill, often with incline to strengthen my hips. And then you settle into winter training as you prepare for the race next May. So that's my approach, but you do have to walk. You have to walk and you have to learn how to use your feet and move your whole body. And all that is in the book. The book is based on my Ironman training. I've been doing Ironman triathlons and Ironman for about 25 years. So, and I've had some wonderful coaches.
And we have Taylor who's here, because Taylor, I want you to get ready to unmute. Who was just talking?
Me, Carl.
Hi, Carl.
Hi. So I have, I don't know if it was an inspiration yet, but I had an observation and kind of a memory and an observation and a question. So,
okay.
So what I remembered was seeing these shows of elephants and maybe rhinos and maybe hippos walking on land. Okay. And what came to mind was when the elephant weights their leg, it's like the whole bottom section, which is like we would call the foot, kind of like blows out like this. And then when they unweight the leg, it all goes back in. And it just kind of made me wonder, because I actually had a few times this week for the first time where I felt like I was walking and my entire foot was more fluid. Like I wasn't holding tension in my foot or, you know, worried about stepping the wrong way. And that's when that image of the elephant's pad kind of swelling when the weight came down and then going back in. And it like, you know, they're tall, they're big. And it made me, and the idea, the concept of a remote blood pumping station just like came in like a freight train, you know, delivering flowers or something. And so I wonder if that's an analogous but very large example of what might be happening in our own feet if we utilize them correctly.
Yeah, Carl, I think Using animal metaphors can be really helpful. That's a good one for your feet. Kim and I were using Canva one day and came across this video of a medusa, like a jellyfish, doing this.
Mhm.
And that was another one. When I used to run a lot, I would try and think about a cheetah running, so I'd be very relaxed. I didn't look anything like a cheetah, I hasten to add, except when I had really bad psoriasis. And anyway, so yeah, no, these watching animals can teach you a great deal about moving. It's funny how differently they move. Like dogs seem to move from their whole waist. They seem to move with their whole rear end of their body. Others are more stiff, like those birds on the beach. You know, they do this. So yeah, find one that works for you. And those kind of metaphors. I like that one about the elephant feet. And you think about how far it is from the feet to the elephant's heart. It's the same problem with giraffes on their head.
Mhm.
They have to use everything they can to help get that blood back to their heart. And in the case of an elephant, it has to lift like 10 or 12 feet. And so, yeah, I like that one. That was a good one.
Okay, thank you.
And I was mentioning Taylor. So Taylor has a couple of wounds on her toes and she's trying to heal them. And she had a deep vein arterialization. Not sure how familiar you are with those, Kevin, but they hijack a vein in the calf and they reroute blood flow through the vein through a covered stent into the foot to create a new source of flow. And
Well,
the
that's
whole
like how they use my saphenous vein in my leg to build my bypass to my right heart. It's the same idea. Yeah.
same idea. And this one, they just poke through from the artery into the vein. They take care of the vein valves, and then they slip a covered stent through and bring the flow through the vein into the foot. And what ends up happening is they start growing collateral vessels. But I would think that using the yoga toes would help to accelerate the process. But with a couple wounds at the tip of her toes, I imagine, is there any way that she can get around doing that? Maybe a modified beginning with that? I guess it might be hard for you to know exactly if she doesn't have a picture, if you don't have a picture of her foot, but I remember seeing them just at the tip.
Or if it's a distal toe, then she could start by using her fingers instead of yoga toes.
Okay.
By gently coaxing her toes apart with a little finger or the one next to it. And in fact, a lot of people who find yoga toes too hard to put on start by using their hands to slowly spread their feet. So then she'd be able to, avoid the tips of her toes, because to get the yoga toes on, you got to pull them over your toes, right? The ones I use anyway. And so I would say start with her fingers and see how it feels. And maybe that may help enough with blood flow that will encourage recovery of the wound.
I feel like that's a natural thing too, because when it was first started hurting my toes, I would use my hands and like spread them apart and like move them. It seemed like it felt better. And I think that was trying to create a blood flow, or like, trying to get that blood flowing. So I think it is a natural movement,
Yeah. Carl, you wanted to say something?
I was just thinking, how would cotton rolls, like dental cotton rolls, if someone can't bend forward long enough to, spend much time maybe with their fingers in their toes, those cotton rolls that they use to pack your gum to pull it away when they have to work on the side of your mouth.
Or Tampax or like a little cylinder. I remember a colleague of mine.
Carl, you need to go buy some Tampax over at the supermarket.
Well, this colleague of mine in Scotland, he was working on a disease called Yagzikti, which results in lots of material coming out of the nose. It's a viral infection, and he needed a sterile pad to collect, the mucus from the nose and serous secretions from the nose. So he ordered, of course, Tampax is sterile, so he ordered 500 Tampax. He had one hell of a job getting out through accounting. But they were perfect for collecting collecting exudate from the nose of a sheep. They were perfect for that, which is, I guess, irrelevant.
I was going to say, what about the toe separators they use when you go to the spa to get your toenails done, a pedicure?
I've not had that done.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean,
he likes the other ones. They're a little bit thinner and the little squishier than the ones that Kevin, the video that we showed, but it's a good start. So you just start somewhere and start, doing the exercises that Rebecca was showing inside the video that we had. And, for when you're using your fingers, Kevin, can Taylor still do some of those exercises that Miss Lawson was using or doing during the video?
Well, yeah, if you use your fingers, which I did first of all, until I could find yoga toes I like, you stick them between your toes and you can still move your toes around. It can make them kind of sore between your toes. I like what we call toe yoga, which is learning to move each of the toes individually. I find that extremely difficult to do, but it's worth doing. Or try lifting the big toe and leave the other ones down, and then lift your other toes and leave the big toe down. That's a good start. Because what you're really trying to do with all this, in addition to spreading your toes, you're trying to wake up your feet, which you will then train to become really strong. The muscles in the bottom of my feet are now they're almost kind of fat. They're really strong. I can feel them in my shoes because I've been training them, to do this blood pumping exercise. So at the end of the day, you are attempting to make your feet flexible and strong and turn them into pumps. And then you integrate that with the other ways you move your body, including especially shoulder hip counter rotation. So yeah, in a way, you have to think like a detective, whatever works.
Hopefully that's helpful, Taylor. I think it could be something that's good. I don't know if you have, oh good, she gives us the thumbs up. I think that'll be
baby in the background.
I didn't hear it. I think that
That's
she
what you said, she texted
baby down. Yeah. Simony, I love that she's here and she's multitasking, and I love that Marilyn is out. I think she's in Marilyn, are you in the mall walking? I think she's in the mall.
Yeah,
she's not unmuted. So
she's on mute.
yeah, she has to turn her mic on. Probably hard when she's on. There she is.
One of my videos shows.
Yeah, I'm in the mall.
Oh, she's off mute.
Yep, she's at the mall. That's great. What store? Oh, I didn't even know. Gosh, I haven't been to a mall in so long. Our local mall is closing. They're going to replace it with apartments very soon because no one ever goes to the mall except to walk. So there's a huge walking group that does go to the mall every single morning to walk. It's such a great option, especially for people who don't live in the best neighborhoods or in the best climate during the summer. It's a great place to walk.
Yeah, and winter too.
Oh, winter too.
Especially winters here.
And so did you understand when Kevin was describing how you should walk, that it shouldn't be heel to toe, that it should be from kind of is it the outside to the inside, Kevin?
You come in from the outside because as you do shoulder hip counter rotation, it kind of causes your legs to kind of move like this, like that exercise we were seeing last week with that lady on the martial arts. You come in like this and it causes your feet, instead of landing on the heel, it causes your foot to come in from the side and then roll onto the ground. And I watch my feet, they do that all the time. I don't even think about it really. And that's because I learned.
I'm trying to.
Shoulder hip counter rotation is the trick. What's that, Marilyn?
I'm trying to do that now and it's not very comfortable, but I can see how the shoulder hip thing works, but I feel like I'm walking like a model.
Yeah, no, it's
how they walk down a runway.
Well, yeah, actually, maybe just wobble your butt around. That's a good thing because runners often say run like a girl, even for men, because you're using your hips properly. You're letting your hips truly rotate, which lengthens your stride and also greatly improves or greatly reduces heel striking. Heel striking is a killer for your knees. I mean, so many people have destroyed their knees running with heel striking, and those stupid big padded shoes encourage that, but they don't prevent the damage. So yeah, but that comes down later. There is a video in there of a lady, Loretta, on my P.A.D. playlist. You see Loretta walking in the mall, and she is walking with great shoulder hip counter rotation, landing on the side of her foot. So just watch her. She gave me permission to take that video and use it, which was nice of her. So, you know, this is getting to a more advanced stage.
Well,
Okay,
everyone
thank
likes
you.
to be told, everyone likes to be told they're doing something right. So it's great that she allowed you to videotape and have her demonstrate. I was just going to look it up though and see if we can pull up. I forget what you called it.
Oh, it's like Loretta walking in the mall or something. I mean, I could go find it. I mean,
I'm looking for it right now. Loretta. Watch Loretta. Oh, yes, you did. Watch Loretta walking with her whole body for healthy aging. Yeah, I did find it, and I have it right here.
She's a nice lady. Yeah, there's some of my nonsense at the beginning. I made it years ago. It was when I was fighting the heel pain that they call plantar fasciitis, which is not plantar fasciitis. It's a nociceptive pain, usually from the hips. But that's at the beginning of the video. And then you see Loretta walking. Okay, where is she? I see her coming. Yeah, that's Loretta.
Whoops, sorry.
Yeah, you see she's using her shoulders and her hips, and she's coming in from the side of her foot. If you slow it down, you'll see that, and that's how mine work. She has a slight tightness of her lateral hip rotators. As you see, her feet are slightly rotated out. That's lateral hip rotators, and that can be fixed with pigeon pose as a stretch, or else it will cause you trouble later. So you come in, you roll onto the ball of your foot, and then you lift your foot up. And then imagine as you put your foot down, you contract your muscles in your feet to drive the blood out of your feet. And then as you lift your foot up from the heel and unweight it, that is when you spread your toes. So you have to learn to spread your toes. So you contract, spread. And it helps to actually do it with your hands. So when I'm walking, sometimes I'll make sure I'm doing it right by spreading my left hand as I spread my right foot. And I'll alternate those, and it encourages my feet to get with the program. If I'm going up a hill, I find if I exaggerate that effort of pumping with my feet, it much reduces the risk of claudication on a hill. So it clearly works. I just wish some physiologist with a big lab would come in and study this and study actual blood flow, which I'm sure could be done with new techniques, laser Doppler and stuff like that. So anyway, that's enough of that.
Hey,
Kevin, I love it.
Kevin,
yeah, hey, Alan.
I've got a very slow mind. So I'd like you to explain again, when do I spread my toes?
You spread your toes when you unweight your foot. So as the foot that's lifting off the ground, you spread your toes because you want the blood to flow into your foot. You want to refill it, right?
Yeah.
You just imagine the elephant puts its weight on its foot, right? And as it lifts its foot off the ground, right, then the foot, you know, the foot relaxes. So what you're really doing is relaxing your foot into a spread state. So you're letting go of that tension, holding your foot tight together, like in tight shoes. And then when you come down, you gently, I've got multiple videos trying to explain this to people. When I compare the way I use my feet with a pianist at a keyboard, and it's one of the videos hardly anyone watches. I guess they don't see the relationship. But in a way, I'm using my feet much like a really expert pianist uses their feet on their hands on the keyboard. It's like a conversation with the keyboard, and you have to have a conversation with the ground. So no, you're not thinking slow, Alan. People aren't used to thinking about this at all.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you.
I just happen to have training in pathology, and you know, I have training from so many great body movement teachers. And of course, I became insane and did Ironman for about 25 years, and I'm still trying to do it. So all these little details turned out important for me to keep going as I get older. So, but aging continues, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately, it does.
Yeah. But then again, after
you can slow down the process through all these techniques, though.
Yeah, and you got to make it playful. If you can make it playful, so imagine you have playful pain with P.A.D, the 3 P's. Excuse me, I lost control of my brain.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a good T-shirt, Kevin. And then on the back, you could have wiggle while you walk.
There is that.
Kevin made a funny.
Well, you know that when you're running
need to do that, Carl.
When you're running marathons, you get to see a lot of pretty girls, and they're like tractor beams that pull you along, and they improve your running style.
And you want to keep up. You'll end up walking faster to keep up.
Exactly right.
I know that Taylor wants to get to doing marathons again. She was a really active 30s something. So I think that we're going to get her back to doing marathons very soon. I think we need a goal for next year for her as to which marathon that she's going to be doing when her toes heal.
Yeah, actually being really fit as when you're pregnant really it affects recovery incredibly. I remember I was in the gym one time and I got chatting to a lady there who was working out, one of the trainers, and she was really fit, and I was asking her about a particular, exercise, how to do it right. And then she told me she looked so fit. She had a baby 2 weeks before. It was like, wow. And I went into heart surgery, even though, I was not in full training, I was pretty fit. And I think that played a huge role in my survival, in addition to the efforts of Sue, who really helped a lot in the hospital. But I think going in fit, so if you have to have surgery and you see it coming up, I think a little bit of training will help you recover a lot. Makes a big difference. Doesn't mean it's less painful, but it's very helpful, because now here I am back in training after a quad bypass. So
yeah.
So
after
do that marathon. That's a good idea.
After my procedure that I just had recently with my abdomen, my abs were completely in shape, and I think that is what saved me a little bit, throughout the recovery process, that they were already really strong. But they kept wanting to engage, because I realized how much I normally engage them. I use my abs for everything to take the pressure off my back. And so this time, actually, my back needed to compensate for the abdomen, because you weren't supposed to use it, but because I had so much muscle down here, it just made it a lot easier to use what needed to be used and could be used in order to keep me on my feet.
That's exactly right. By the way, there was a massage therapist. I used to go when I was well paid and had a job. I used to have a massage every week from a sports masseuse who would find tight muscles before I even knew about it, and I'd fix it. Anyway, she had a saying that underneath tightness is weakness. And I think that's true of our feet. I think our feet become tight because the muscles in our feet and calves aren't very strong. And so we try and hold things together to protect us. And the stronger those muscles become, the more you are able to relax your feet. And so you have to combine lengthening, what people call stretching, but lengthening with strength training too. So this is true. Weight training, once I get fully into it, and I've just started now back into it, I'll do weight training at least 3 times a week. And then I incorporate stretching into that process. And for stretching, I prefer the active isolated stretching, I think developed in Sweden. So instead of holding a stretch, so you think about it when you contract your foot, or when you do a Kegel, or when you're doing squats. It doesn't matter what it is. You're holding that weight. So afterwards, you need to get the muscle to let go. And there's two ways of stretching, which applies to your feet or your quads. One is like holding a long stretch. So you can stretch your foot back, right, for a long time. But a better way, and I found this really works for me, is you do a stretch, say, of your hamstring. You stretch your hamstring for about 4 or 5 seconds, and you feel it starting to fight back because of the stretch receptors. And then you relax, and you wait until that muscle completely relaxes again, which is about another 4 or 5 seconds. And then you do it again. And you will find that that really does a better job of stretching a muscle or lengthening a muscle than does holding a stretch. But those are two schools of thought on muscle lengthening or stretching. And I tell you, active isolated, it's worth reading about. And that's the only way I ever do stretching now.
So what do you say with the last few minutes we have here? Should we get an update on everyone, Kevin?
Sure. Oh, by the way,
who should we start with? Who should we pick on?
Well, I think I don't know. I think we should pick on Marina.
Uh-oh, Marina. Marina is doing some amazing things for us. She is such a gem. I absolutely adore her. We have a new website, Kevin.
You're embarrassing Marina.
Marina, I know. But look, this is our new PADtrials.org. It is not quite launched yet. We'll be launching it probably in October officially, but some people are finding it organically, but Marina is actually helping us with our trial maps, and she's helping us to find and place. We have 3 different maps. We have one map that shows the latest and greatest in advances in tools and techniques for P.A.D, particularly CLI, the advanced stage critical limb ischemia or chronic limb threatening ischemia. This is our P.A.D life trials map, and it has all of the trials for diet and exercise. There's like a beetroot trial, there are olive oil trials, there's walking trials. If you're in the Chicago area, lots of walking trials. I think we also have something, I don't know how to look it up on here, but I remember, Marina, that we had something in Ontario. I know we have something going on up there. I thought it was a walking trial, but I'll have to look. And then below that, right now, we have all of the supervised exercise therapy programs in the United States that we have found so far. And you'll always see our My Steps program because it's available everywhere in the world in 7 languages. And it tracks your claudication time and time to rest. And soon, hopefully, we're going to have a couple of your videos on there, Kevin. I'm not sure how we're progressing on that with Yoga Toes and P.A.D 100. So you can follow along and then always get turned over to his YouTube channel afterwards. But yeah, so this is kind of exciting. And Marina has been volunteering her time to help us populate the maps. So thank you, Marina. You're not going to unmute, are you?
I can unmute.
There you are. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you from all of us because you're providing such a great service for all of us and for so many more patients to democratize access to all of this great information.
My pleasure, Kim.
How are you doing? You had a bypass, right? And then you had a complication from the bypass, and you had yet another procedure. But have you started walking again? I know you got the wound back off.
I did. I have started walking and started exercising, and I fell back 3 weeks. I'm not very patient. So if I feel okay, I go to the gym, and then that night I suffer, the next day I suffer. So this week is my first week that I'm doing my walking one day and resting next day, walking one day and resting another day, and nothing else. And I'm going to see how I feel after doing that a couple weeks, and then maybe add on, because I'm just completely exhausted when I put in the gym, so I've got to go slowly, have patience. And you know what happens? I also have a lot of pain during the night when I do too much, so one leg it's cramping, the other leg it's muscles. Just a leg mess. So I'm hoping to just slow down a little and, slowly and steadily, gain the strength I need.
You had a major procedure.
Really important.
Yeah. Kevin, can you repeat that? Because it's so important.
Yeah, pacing ourselves is really key. You need to have a strategy, but you know that. And then when you have a workout planned, you need to do the planned workout and not more.
Right.
It's very tempting to be like Carl and do too much, like a bull in a china shop, and then complain about injury later. So you don't do that. You set your workouts, you do them, but you don't, because you're feeling good, there's a temptation to do that little bit more. And that little bit more is what will get you in trouble.
That's exactly true. I mean, because I feel good. Let me go to the gym. And then, and I'm fine at the gym. I don't hurt too much. I slow down if I hurt. But that night and the next day, and then I'm out for 3 days, so I'm just pacing, but I'm not very good at that. I don't have a lot of patience,
Me neither.
It just comes with experience. I mean, it's, as I said, it's professional. How it's to set up a professional strategy and stick to your workouts, and you'll do fine. Carl will probably drown.
Boy, Carl, you're getting picked on. Thank you for being here, taking the weight off me.
Okay. I've heard something through physical therapy over the years related to this, and that there's 3 types of patients. There's the patient that has no interest in doing any of the homework and complains about it when they get to the next session. And then there's the patients that do exactly what they're prescribed in the manner that they were given. And then there's the patients, like me, unfortunately, maybe like you, Marina, that is gung-ho. And if it looks like there's some daylight out there, rush towards it and keep trying to go. And the ones that actually progress are the ones that don't do any extra and don't do any less than what they were told. And then, like me, I keep blowing off the track.
There is a great example of this in a movie called Shall We Dance, where the main character, Richard Gere, is learning to dance. And the other character, whose name I forget, is giving him advice. So he goes to the dance lessons, but that's all he's doing. And the other character, who is really good at dancing, says, 1 hour at the dance class, 5 hours practicing at home. And if you go to a physical therapist once a week for 1 hour, you need to do at least 5 hours of work in between doing the exercises told to you by the physical therapist. I mean, I have a friend who had a lot of trouble with her hips, but she rotated her right foot way out. And I tried to encourage her to do pigeon pose and pull that back in. She said, no, I'll go to a physical therapist. So she'd go to the physical therapist once a week, but that's all she did. And she ended up having hip replacement because she ground that hip to hell. And so the physical therapist is telling you what to do between therapy sessions. And that's, once again, it's, I don't know, do some Ironman training. That'll sort you out.
Douglas had a procedure lately, and actually you had an appointment, a follow-up this week. How you doing?
I just wanted to share this thought process. We think about the gym, $50 a month, whatever, all this stuff, but think about what Kevin's taught us and how zero it costs to do this work. The zero cost is just time, my leg and time. I mean, I drove 2 hours home yesterday and I took my shoes off and I was doing this while I was driving, put it on cruise control. And I did this while I was driving. I've been sitting here, 50 minutes. I've been doing it the whole time I've been sitting here. So think about if you're watching TV, you have an hour, or you're watching Survivor, you have an hour to do this exercise. Think about how that helps in the long run. I hope I'm making sense here. That how little it costs to do this, but the significance of saving life and limbs is important. And this it cost me $4. I couldn't find mine this morning, but I have them because I'm moving, so they're packed up there. But I've been and I wanted to bring up the
You have your towels that you put on the floor and you move them back and forth.
So the idea, I mean, I'm sitting here, I got Expedition X on TV. I was watching it this morning. They're hunting Bigfoot. The Bigfoot's a whole nother story for me. So, but it's being able to just sit here while I'm watching TV, doing exercises that do what Kevin says. They create blood flow.
If you're in the live in studio audience, you can see what Douglas is doing. But if you're watching on YouTube, he's actually picking up a towel. He's graduated to a point where he's now able to pick up a towel with his toes. And he picks it up and then he drops it, and he picks it up and he drops it. And while he's just sitting there watching TV, that's what he does. If you want to join our live studio audience, just email us at info@padhelp.org. But if you're on YouTube, don't forget, like and subscribe to our channel and Fit Old Dog.
I started 4 months ago, and I promise you, I could tell a big difference in how I can spread my toes now. Now my right foot, my little toe on my right foot has a little issue, but I'm working on that. But the whole point is,
That's a tough one, the little toe.
The whole point is how easy this is to do when we have we can do this 24 hours a day. It doesn't cost nothing to do these exercises to save our life in the legs. I'm sitting in the doctor's office. Kim's on the phone. I took my shoes off. Everyone in the doctor's office is looking at me like, what is he doing? And I started doing my toe exercises in the doctor's office. So
and you can also do the toes, spread your toes and then bring them under. And when I'm actually sitting there, I can do it inside my shoes, where I'm just clawing, very lightly clawing at the bottom of my shoes. Kevin taught me that too.
And it's being accountable for the best advocate for my leg. I have to take that responsibility on and be responsible for that. And it doesn't cost me nothing. It's just a little bit of time here and there. And look at what it helps create: blood flow and walking. When's the last time you went to the store? You got the handicap sticker. I'm going to park right up front. Why? I'm going to park in the back so I can walk a little more. It's getting that availability so that when I get up tomorrow morning, my left leg and my right leg are still attached to me.
It's funny how people park as close to the gym as they can when they're going in for a workout.
That is funny.
Makes me laugh.
That is funny. And they circle. You see them circling
till
they get the closest one. That's so funny. It's so true.
That exercise with your feet, I call it the P.A.D 100 based on a Pilates exercise. But I do that. I usually do that before I get out of bed in the morning because it helps me balance, because your feet are one of the 4 balance systems in your body. And that wakes them up a bit before I stand on the floor. I have to do it without waking everyone up, on the sheets. That makes a noise. But it's, and it helps a lot. No, and Doug is right. You can weave this in, they become habits. And then after a while, you don't have to worry about it. Like when you drive a car, you don't think about the driving, you think about the traffic and what's around you. Whereas working, the gears or whatever is a conditioned reflex. And that's the point you need to get to.
And that's true, Kevin, about a habit. And if you do this every morning, just say you do this every morning for 6 months, at some point, you're not going to think about it anymore. You're just one eye's going to open and your toes are already going.
Yeah, I find my feet doing this when I'm waking up. They just seem to do it. But yeah, it's self-care is what it is. You get the doctors do everything they can, but after that, there's a lot you can do yourself. I mean, my website, I call it, inspirational self-help books, because I know it's a long name, but people need inspiration, but they have to accept the fact that they have to take care of themselves. And that old saying, God helps those who help themselves, is, I'm not really into supreme beings, but except for maybe the woman in my life, but that's another story. But it's self-help is critical. It really is.
Can you talk about the socks again? That was brought. I saw a thing in our group the other day. Somebody was talking about socks and how their tube socks affect their feet.
Yeah, the problem with your foot isn't, it's, well, how do I get this on the screen? Your foot kind of sticks out of the front a bit, right? Around the joints. It's not a straight thing. Whereas it's much cheaper on a machine to make a tube sock because it's just a simple cylinder, basically. But the problem is if you have it loose enough, it'll be all flapping around your ankles to make it loose enough at the front. The sock needs to be designed to fit a human foot. And so it's a much more complex process and a more expensive sock. But what you need is a sock that fits your foot but doesn't constrain movement. Tube socks are constantly bringing your feet in from the side. You can feel it. If I go run in tube socks or walk in tube socks, within a mile or so, I'm already feeling my feet are starting to hurt. I want to get them out of there. So now I don't run in socks at all. I just use Nike free shoes. But maybe you need socks for certain things, or the weather or whatever. But I do use socks in my hiking shoes, and there I use smart wool socks, which seem to work pretty well. A little tight around my ankles, therefore I can cut them if I want to. So yeah, tube socks are simply a tube, a cylindrical tube, basically, made easy to produce, make money for the manufacturer, but they're not designed for the human foot. They're not a human foot shape, and they need to be that shape. As simple as that. I know that Doug did find some really good socks that I think he recommended, or was it Carl, that sounded really good?
No, Doug.
I have nothing but Bass Pro wool socks now, and they're Meridian. But I wouldn't have not thought this, but I can actually tell the difference at the end of the day when I wear these socks, and that's all I own now. Yeah, it's been a little extra for it, but that's all I own now, and they really have made an impact on my feet and my walk and how comfortable I am walking with a good pair of shoes that I bought through doing the technique. But the wool socks are just, I wear them every day now.
So you're saying Bass Pro? Well, there's a Bass Pro here, a huge aquarium in Springfield, because I'm in Missouri right now. And so, yeah, Bass Pro wool socks. I'll have to get some of those and try them out. Maybe I can even buy them in the aquarium. Who knows?
Well, awesome, you guys. This has been a really fun show. Make sure, if you can, get Kevin's book, the P.A.D. Training Manual. It's on Amazon, and you can go to just the search bar on Amazon, look up Kevin Thomas Morgan. He has a lot of great books that are there. Make sure you join us. Kevin, do you want to go on to chapter 6 next week? What do you think?
Well, chapter 6, I think Doug covered it this week. It's flex your toes for better venous return, which was nicely covered. So the next chapter is undertake a low impact walking program. That is complicated and very important. You need impact to grow collaterals. That's why you don't grow many collaterals on a treadmill or a bike or an elliptical machine. You do need impact, but you need a gentle impact and many hours of it by just walking. And so I think explaining how to walk with a low impact, what I would call a healthy impact that doesn't damage your knees, or we can return to the flex your toes, whichever you prefer.
We can start with flex your toes, but we can make this chapter 5 and 6, and then go into chapter
6 and 7. Okay,
we'll do 6 and 7 next week. So
Yeah.
I think that'll be fantastic because you need to flex your toes and get them all ready to go before you even go out on your walk. So hopefully you'll have a couple videos. Send me some videos that you want me to use during that broadcast, and we'll see you guys all next week. Make sure if you want to be in the live in studio audience, info@padhelp.org. And then also don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because in order to get these videos so more people are seeing them and to optimize that YouTube algorithm, we just need to have you make sure you like the video and then subscribe as well for more great content like this.
Thank you, Josh, for keeping us on track.
Yep. Thanks so much.